Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Wednesday, January 31st, 2024. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first card in our 5-card spread for today? We saw this bad boy up yesterday. We have here our Hermit card. The need to go inward right now is high. I'm not surprised, considering we just had a lot of people in the collective telling and sharing the fact that sleep was not easy last night. So this could be feeling like a lot of energy of, again, cultivating a sense of solitude. But more than that, recognizing the power and the ability, the strength that comes from a point of solitude. For the energy that is in separation right now, this is going to feel like a muscle that you're effectively having to stretch. Because one of the things that we're effectively seeing right now, and often when we see energy in separation, is being able to find oneself at a point of solitude and not let that feel like an isolating situation or circumstance. The more that we are able to build a relationship with our own self, is the more that we are able to enjoy the comfort and company of our own self. The more that we are able to enjoy the comfort and company of our own self, the more and the higher price we put on our time, effort, and energy. So we see even now, there's a lot of this energy in separation. And this is going to feel like a lot of this self-contemplation that's coming through right now. Why are we seeing this self-contemplation energy? We have identified that there's a large degree of energy in separation right now that almost feels like they are on the verge of a huge choice. The choice is there to move towards new manifestation goals right now, or going back to situations and circumstances as they are at present. We are recognizing and identifying that for a lot of the energy right now, this is a moment that almost feels like waiting and seeing. Because again, this is feeling very much like there is still some kind of slowly shortening window that is occurring here in relation to offering opportunities for someone to come forward to move towards the manifestation goal of another. For the feminine energy right now, in separation, this is not necessarily a solitude that is desired, but something that is almost required here, because this is feminine energy that is effectively leaving some kind of opening and opportunity for masculine energy, particularly if this is masculine energy that didn't necessarily want to meet the feminine from a place of openness, honesty, clarity. This is feminine energy that is now in that moment of looking forward, not allowing themselves to remain stuck in that place or space, but also almost holding a light out, waiting to see if that energy from the past will be able to rise to the challenge and offer the feminine what they are effectively seeking. Masculine energy that is in separation right now, if this is a moment or opportunity wherein we are identifying and recognizing that this is a moment that you yourself were trying to meet the feminine from a point of openness and honesty and clarity, but instead it was met from the feminine from a point of rejection. This is potentially masculine, again, on the verge of moving into a new karmic journey, trying to shine a light on the feminine, to try to show feminine energy and say, I was trying to provide you what you said that you wanted. Can you see the fact that if you asked me to be honest, but then you rejected me in that point of honesty, that there is something here that isn't navigable? So we see for both of these energies right now, holding in that point of solitude is now amplifying that wait and see approach, slowly starting to move forward into that future manifestation while leaving a light or holding a torch for some of the energy that you're effectively leaving behind. One thing we appreciate is for the energy that's healed in this capacity, finding one another in this modality is going to lead to a lot of immediate connection points, because you're going to be feeling like you're healing from the same karmic journey. Energy that is potentially on the other side of this in separation. This could be masculine energy that's not necessarily willing to open towards feminine in this way. Feels like it's a bridge too far. Feels like it is too great a sacrifice of your own sense of personal self. Or feminine energy that had that point of reactivity from masculine opening and coming forth the way that feminine asked and required, but leading to a point of rejection instead of bringing together. We see that even now, that moment of solitude is being amplified here, because it's almost calling forward in terms of allowing a moment of breath to amplify the action that you want to take forth on this right now. For some of the masculine energy in this modality right now, recognizing that your own sense of autonomy requires or causes you to maintain a certain level or degree of isolation or solitude right now, Even now, we see that you're trying to figure out a way to move forward where you're not going to build up so much unhealed karmic energy. Because a lot of the masculine energy right now that's in this point of solitude for this may be feeling a lot like you're repeating patterns, and you're seeing or experiencing a lot of the hurt. Your choices to maintain autonomy but not be open is potentially causing some of the energy around you right now. So even now we see that a masculine moving in this way, there is a lot of insight that's coming in this point of solitude to help you go forward from a place that may feel like it's more healed or authentic. Feminine energy, if you're in solitude because effectively you said and articulated to masculine that you wanted that clarity, you wanted that connection point, but then you reacted in a way that pushed the masculine away at the time that masculine was trying to shine a light and give you that point of vulnerability and clarity. You may also be recognizing how, again, your words may not have matched your actions, and you yourself are also potentially looking right now and trying to identify how to move forward, either how to rebuild back into a connection wherein you may feel like you overreacted, or feeling like you have that confidence that you're moving away from something that isn't necessarily for you, but trying to make sure that there's that level or degree of honesty that comes sooner rather than later to prevent that from occurring again. Masculine and feminine coming into the divine union frequency right now. This is more of that situation that may feel like it is fundamentally problematic right now for the energy coming into the divine union. We're seeing here a situation that potentially is unfolding. And I have to say, this is either going to feel like being forged in a fire right now, or it's going to feel like something that pushes energy into separation. Because what we're effectively seeing for the energy that is coming into divine union at this time is almost a moment that you are being amplified. It feels like you guys should be closer than ever, but situations and circumstances are almost requiring a bit of distance. You can't be in as much proximity as you would aspire to right now. This is coming on the heels of energy that just came into divine union, breakthrough energy. This is also coming on the heels of feminine feeling the anxiety point of a masculine that may have had this breakthrough and now feeling the fear and anxiety of that masculine not being able to hold forth in the divine union frequency, but potentially taking that healing to someone else. Masculine, you may be feeling right now like you are having that breakthrough. Just as you're having this breakthrough, you're being pulled away from the feminine at this time. All of this energy is effectively, and again, this is where that distance is either going to feel like it is amplifying the need and the desire to return back to someone in divine union, or it's creating a separation point, or it's creating energy that's now having the perfect opportunity to fall into separation. Because again, divine union isn't just what you do when you are in front of one another. It is the choices that you make in solitude. Because when you're in that point of energetic connection, it is the ability to trust one another, to know that even in solitude, you are thinking about the other energy, that the other energy is a priority, that the divine union is not something that comes together and falls apart due to proximity or experience. It's something that needs to be protected. It needs to be cultivated. It needs to be shaped. So we see here energetically, something about this distance right now is actually potentially amplifying some energy deeper into the heart of the divine union, because you're allowing yourself this point of identifying and showing the other energy that circumstances don't change people, they reveal people. And the circumstances aren't changing the divine union that's forming. It is amplifying the connectivity point of the divine union through intentional action. Some energy right now may potentially be falling back out of the divine union frequency simply because they're lacking the ability to maintain consistency in the point of solitude. Masculine and feminine energy in the divine union frequency that's in the heart of the divine union frequency, this is a little bit of, I have to say, this is actually feeling more like a point of grace. Because what we're seeing for the energy in the divine union frequency is that point of solitude is actually something that is very difficult. Sometimes it is hard to find that point of solitude in the divine union frequency. And one of the things that we identified that was required, particularly for feminine over the last few days, was a need of finding some point of solitude in order to do the things that they were trying to accomplish at this time. For masculine, this is feeling more like a point of tangible frustration, of potentially requiring it at this time. So for the energy in the heart of the divine union, this solitude doesn't feel like it's a threat to the divine union frequency. It actually feels like a little bit of like personal space, if you will. And again, That's perfectly fine, because if you're in a good space with yourself, if you enjoy your own privacy, if you enjoy your own comfort, if you enjoy your own energy, it's not something that you run from, it's something that you relish. Second card in our 5-card spread, as a ton of them pop out. Why is the energy in the divine union frequency relishing some of this solitude? Because that solitude is being amplified by feeling like you're operating on a lot of different levels right now. The energy in the divine union frequency, I already told you, is potentially feeling like you're spinning plates, because feminine energy is trying to like move forward and get a lot of things accomplished at the same time that they're unpacking a lot of profound trauma. They're recontextualizing some kind of wound or hurt that they've been carrying right now, like moving that like lost soul fragment somewhere else outside of themselves, realizing and recognizing that it wasn't necessarily supposed to be there in the first place. Masculine energy is in this moment right now that is also doing that same work through via V, helping the feminine. Masculine's like, oh geez, I'm doing that too now. So we see that these energies are in alignment. And this is also why that point of solitude for the energy in the divine union isn't effectively impacting the divine union energy in the heart of it, because it's just allowing them to get more done in that point of solitude that amplify what they'll do when they're coming back into space together. Masculine and feminine coming into the divine union frequency, this is much more fraught. This is much more fraught, because the difference right now, the fundamental difference of being in the divine union, heart of the divine union frequency versus on the outskirts, is the ability to pull out of it is still very strong. We still hear that there's not a lot of trust that's been built in some of these energetic connections. This could be some energy that is just coming into this frequency for the first time, or energy that is coming back into this frequency after a history of going in and out of it. So we see here that what one chooses to do at a point of solitude is amplifying the energy that's actually moving deeper into the heart of the divine union frequency, showing an ability to maintain consistency in that vibration, versus energy that is still going through some of this like wibble wobble in touching it and falling back out and touching it and falling back out. And this can be a lot more frustration inducing, if you will, because this is effectively what we see that the feminine energy is effectively fearing. This is that feeling of, again, if feminine is feeling the anxiety of a masculine that's now in separation and they're feeling disconnected. They're feeling the masculine slipping away. They're not feeling that connectivity. This could be a feeling of the feminine starting to fall out of it themselves. Masculine, if this is a moment that you're feeling like you're being pulled out of it, that some of that breakthrough energy you had that you're starting to like amplify, bringing towards other energy right now. Or, again, not prioritizing things in the proper way. This could be one of the reasons you're seeing an ability to fall out of this energy. But one of the things we appreciate about this right now, there's an observation point that we're seeing right now energetically, that if someone's doing this, there could be a moment, if you're coming into the frequency and this has occurred before, that you're going, wait, I'm doing it again. I've done this before. So the ability to identify a situation allows one the intentionality as it relates to choice. The energy in the divine union frequency, you may be feeling some of that turbulence. And what are you doing? You're setting your intention. How are you setting your intention? You're amplifying the prioritization of the divine union over outside energy, even at a point of isolation or solitude from the other energy. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. This is that moment that feels almost like, again, it feels like you're balancing, you're weighing your choices, you're weighing your options. The energy right now that is in separation, it's not the fact that you aren't releasing something that isn't there to be available to you. You're looking at what it is versus what it is that you aspire it to be. This is why it feels like such a difficult choice right now for so much of the energy in separation, because it's not the desire or need or to want to let someone go, but you're looking at the energy that you have with someone, and you're looking at what you truly desire or aspire to manifest with them, and you're trying to see if these two things can converge, or if there's something that is requiring a point that they feel like they're never coming together. So we see here that balancing right now, the ability and to try to determine whether something has a possibility of healing, coming into your manifestation goal, or if it's something that needs to be released so that you can move towards that unknown possibility that may further bring you closer to your manifestation. This is very heavy energy right now across all of the energy and separation, which is requiring a lot of time to oneself to determine how one is moving. Third card in our 5-card spread is possibilities, breakthroughs. This point of understanding that we're seeing right now, this ability to identify and recognize moving, and I have to stress here, the important thing that's happening here energetically is there isn't one way one ought to move. It is feeling that sense of self in terms of identifying what one feels is best for your own self. What feels like that will allow that point of victory. So even now, we see that for the energy in separation, having to figure out what feels like, and I think that this is what is hard about this right now. This is one of those moments that even in separation, it doesn't necessarily feel like there is a point of success here, because the point of success would ideally be in these two energies converging into one, in the energy that you're trying to release right now versus the energy that you're trying to bring in, coming into one energetic place. That ability and desire right now is why we see that there's so much energy here that is feeling the frustration, because it doesn't feel like either feels like an ideal solution right now, but you're trying to pick the better of the two options, right? These are not ideals. The ideal would be not having to choose. The ideal would be to have both in the one energetic spectrum. But we're seeing that for a lot of the energy right now in separation, the fact that they are separate is requiring a choice to be made, and it doesn't necessarily feel like it is ideal. That is why we see that that push-pull is happening right now energetically, and even some of that issue as it relates to some of the problems potentially around sleeping, because this is some like heavy emotional spiritual algebra that is happening right now energetically to try to determine which course to move towards. Masculine and feminine coming into the divine union frequency. This moment is amplifying, literally, this is going to be the make or break moment for energy that's actually moving into the divine union frequency versus energy falling back out of it again. Because we saw a huge uptick of energy coming into the divine union frequency over the last few days. That breakthrough that we saw of masculine energy opening up, being vulnerable to feminine, immediately created a point of breakthrough. The point that the important thing is not that it happened once. It's easy to do something once. It's easy to hit a high note once. It's easy to accidentally hit that high note. The better question is, can you stay consistent on it? Can you do it again and again and again? And this is why we see now the difference energetically, especially if there's circumstances and situations that are pulling energy that just touched the live wire of the divine union away from each other. What one chooses to do in solitude makes as much important choices as what you choose to do when you are in each other's presence. So for the energy that is working on maintaining the divine union frequency, you are reaffirming your commitment and consistency in what you are creating energetically, even at a point of solitude right now. That is literally how you're amplifying your ability to hold that note. For some energy right now, this could feel like that dip again. This could feel like that dip and coming into a point in suddenly feeling like you're in separation, but you're not, you feel like the energy has disappeared or vanished. You don't feel like that connection point. And for some of that, that could be that feeling almost like, again, for feminine, it's going to feel almost like that point of intuition being like, I think something else is going on. I think that there's energy here that's being prioritized over me. I think that there's something here that's creating some point of distance. That is that moment that we're seeing, like there is that weighing here, which is why it's so important that for the energy right now that's experiencing this, that reaffirmation and commitment, that constancy that you're being able to commit right now is creating that like barrier of truth, that connection point of trust between you and another energy to say, you can trust me even when we are not necessarily in each other's presence. Masculine and feminine, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, in the heart of the divine union frequency. This trust is implicit. This trust is implicit right now, which is, again, why this solitude doesn't feel like so much of a hairy territory. It's something that you might like welcome. You're like, oh, you're potentially like opening your arms to it to a certain extent, because the solitude doesn't necessarily affect the divine union frequency. It just allows you to get more stuff done in a shorter amount of time. So even now we are seeing and recognizing that feeling of two energies that are working very doggedly in solitude. It feels like even the solitude itself is pulling a point of positivity away from something, even if the solitude itself feels like a bit of a burden. Because it's that sensation, that feeling of being connected, of knowing and trusting where the other person is, knowing and trusting what the other person is doing, knowing and trusting that you are the other person's guiding star. Having that connection point between both of you allows you to turn your concentration to other matters and to really focus and utilize that time in solitude to the best possible. You're like taking it and just turning it into gold. You're like, it's not a problem. It's just the good part of the divine, of the solitude. Fourth card in our 5-card spread for today, 2 cards coming out. We have here our Death card in its reversal in combination with our Knight of Wands. I have to stress here. I just got to stress it. I saw it yesterday. The energy of the solitude feels more welcome to the feminine energy right now than it does to the masculine. It's going to feel more like a point of utilization for the feminine than it is for the masculine. Even in the heart of the divine union frequency, there's something here where the feminine is just going like wild with it. Like this is like solitude gone wild. This is feminine being like doing all of these things from this point of solitude, if these energies are separate right now. Masculine is getting more of a, like it's feeling more of a, it's feeling more of like a break squeal moment. There's something here that the solitude is not necessarily feeling as easy for the masculine right now. It feels like it's creating more of a point of frustration. So I just want the masculine energy that may be experiencing this right now to be a little gentle with yourself, because this does feel like it's some kind of short-lived period that's effectively happening right now. Like you can see the horizon point. It just feels more like it's something that you have to deal with that isn't necessarily as productive as it is for the feminine energy. And it's also because we see here that whatever this solitude is that masculine's in, it feels like it's creating a disruption to the passion center. It feels like there's some kind of disruption in not being able to fulfill your passion or creativity right now because of some of this point of solitude that we saw yesterday may be more akin to practical matters right now for the masculine. Feminine needs this time. Feminine needs this solitude. Masculine does not need it. Masculine and feminine coming into the divine union frequency. This is why we see right now that this solitude may be creating a moment of masculine energy falling out of the divine union frequency. It's not as productive for masculine to be in this point of solitude as it is for feminine. Feminine is almost going through a moment right now where, again, it's creating the solitude, if anything, for feminine energy of coming into divine union has to do with anxiety in relation to what masculine is doing at that point of solitude. This is why we see that for the energy right now that's moving into the divine union, like the divine union frequency, masculine energy, you cannot reaffirm to feminine enough right now in terms of being clear as to what you are doing and communicating, because this is feminine energy that's feeling the anxiety of masculine energy, especially if this is masculine energy. I can tell you right now, here is the formula. Here is the formula for energy falling into separation. If you just came into divine union, if you touch that wire, be it for a day, a week, a month, but now there's some kind of like solitude situation, and feminine is trying to communicate with masculine, and masculine is vacillating in communication. If there's distance there, if there's not rapidity, this is feminine energy saying, I'm seeing this happening again. This is feminine almost immediately falling back into separation. If the masculine is not maintaining consistency in communication from the point of being in separation, this is feminine being like, ooh. This is feminine being like, yeah, this is how it is. And this is almost a feminine energy that's falling into deeper separation if they're noticing a pattern that masculine is repeating here in relation to being able to come into these points that feel like you get close to divine union, you touch the outskirts of it, and then the masculine falls away. So there's energy right now potentially falling back into separation over circumstances and situations of this manner. Masculine, if you just came into divine union with feminine and you had this breakthrough, you're now in a point of solitude. You've got ample opportunity to do the things you want. Where is your GPS system? Where are you being directed towards? Are you starting to vacillate? Are you starting to feel like look around? Are you starting to think? Are you starting to weigh options? Or is that solitude a place where you're building that connective bridge to the feminine? Is this the moment that you're building that moment of saying to feminine again, you're my choice. There is no other choice. I'm going to show you through communication that even in distance, I am still here. I am nothing. I am a text message away. I am a phone call away. Just say the word and I will be there. The more that you're able to amplify to the feminine in this way is almost, again, you are building that feminine up because you're recognizing that this is feminine energy that's healed from circumstances and situations that were the opposite of this. Because again, if you are in the divine union frequency and you have been moving towards it, you recognize that this is feminine energy that may have been taken advantage of a lot by energy of masculine that tries to dip into the divine union frequency and dip back out. So what is the healed masculine energy doing for feminine right now if they're coming into healing? I'm not doing it. I'm not doing that to you. I'm not going to make you feel like an option. I'm not going to make you feel like an option. I'm not going to disappear and only come back when it serves my purposes. I'm going to amplify that even if we are in solitude, I am still here with you. The presence, the physical presence means nothing. You are still my priority, even if in separation. The energy in the divine union, the energy in separation right now, this is why. And even now we're seeing that for some of the energy, this is why we're seeing that this karmic path is closing up. Because for a lot of the feminine energy right now, if this is a situation or circumstance where they're waiting on masculine, where there was something about feminine telling the masculine what they needed, feminine saying to masculine, I need you to choose, and this is the masculine that's vacillating, this is already a feminine energy that knows in their heart that the choice has been made. Because this is a feminine energy that's effectively saying to themselves, they don't want to be in a situation where masculine has to think about what their priority is. That the moment that the masculine hesitates is almost the moment feminine falls permanently out into separation. Because it's showing the hesitation is the answer. It's the moment of, again, taking that pause point, recognizing situations don't change people, they reveal people. This is almost feminine energy feeling the weight in their heart, waiting for something, but almost, again, feeling in a way, they know that what they've waited for, they're already seeing. Like it's already occurring. It's already happened. Almost wishing that the masculine would have some way to erase what they've done or what they haven't done at this point, to provide some context in what the feminine hasn't seen in relation to a masculine that they've asked them from this for and they haven't received it. That's why this is so difficult for feminine, because this is almost a moment of feminine releasing any of that masculine energy that is, delaying coming towards feminine and giving the feminine what they need at a point of reasonable timing. Masculine energy, if you are in separation from feminine, this is a moment wherein you were open and honest towards the feminine and that created a point of rejection. This is you effectively, again, potentially feeling that point of frustration because you may feel a desire and need to want to move towards that feminine, but you're also feeling the fact that you feel like that feminine doesn't necessarily appreciate you or isn't necessarily willing to experience you in the full honesty that you're trying to bring forth to them. So what we're effectively seeing for some of the masculine energy and separation over these circumstances is this feeling that, again, feeling this passion blocker, feeling this frustration point. It could feel very passionately frustrated and frustrating right now for some masculine energy and separation because the need and the desire is there to move towards feminine. But again, it's not wanting a feminine to be unsure of being with you because of your truth, because of your honesty. So we see here that for them, some of the masculine energy right now, even now, this moment is that point of weighing, whether you're going to try to move back towards a feminine, or whether a feminine's going to come towards you in a point of honesty and accept kind of what you brought forth to them, or if this is a time of basically moving forward. Because even now, there's anxiety of a masculine healing this way, recognizing that this is something that they're going to have to bring forward going forward. And even now, we see here that this is masculine, almost again, nursing some wounds if in separation, feeling like one moved from a state of integrity and it somehow bit back on them. But again, that's that moment of recognizing, and this is why we saw the message for masculine coming through over and over during December, which was the idea that, again, when we move with integrity, we move and we don't do so, we abandon the outcome. Integrity is the outcome when we move forward in that way. Masculine and feminine in separation over circumstances and situations wherein, again, masculine being able to open up to that feminine energy feels like a bridge too far. This is masculine trying to determine how to move forward in a way that this isn't something, it's feeling like doors are closing potentially around you right now. You're recognizing and seeing something, and you're feeling that limitation point in not wanting to necessarily hurt others through not being clear, but also feeling the anxiety about having a point of acceptance in your honesty. But this is bringing you back to the fact that the point of being open and honest, I told you, the healing's coming through one way or another. So even now you're navigating that realm. You're just not navigating that realm and being open towards a particular feminine energy. Feminine, if in separation, this observation point of potentially having rejected masculine at a time that they were trying to be open to you is either feeling like a point of catharsis, a point of healing, saying that what the masculine brought forward is a bridge too far, or this is trying to look at something right now and identify how to heal a rift that may have occurred through that point of reactivity. Fifth card in our 5-card spread is Emperor in its reversal. It's a rough day. Masculine energy, I'm just going to tell you right now, it's going to be a little bit of a rough day today. But I think that, again, sometimes we're seeing here some things like they need to hurt before they can heal. There's something about this point of powerlessness that the masculine energy is trying to navigate right now, even for the energy in the divine union frequency. Because we're seeing here that there's something about the energy in the divine union frequency that feels to a certain extent like your priorities are not allowing, are causing you to kind of be in solitude right now. And it's almost creating a space and state where the masculine, I'm getting here, almost doesn't like it, because whatever is calling the masculine into that point of solitude, it feels like it's not in the direction that the masculine ideally wants to go into right now. It feels like more of a bother is what I'm seeing, which is why we see masculine. I want you to move from a point of intentionality today and not let yourself get too reactive, even in the divine union frequency. Okay? Feminine energy, this is more a moment of trying to have to support masculine that's going through this right now. Because I see here that this is masculine that's just really feeling the frustration and weight of something today. And for feminine, not necessarily, being able to manage this a lot easier, being able to be more even keel on this right now is really important. So we see here that feminine, it may feel like you're doing a lot of dual path work in terms of helping a masculine that is feeling that point of frustration today. While also enjoying, you're getting stuff done in that solitude. Masculine's feeling more frustrated by it, is what we're seeing. Masculine and feminine coming into the divine union frequency. I mean, this is just it. This is make or break moment for a lot of energy in relation to the divine union frequency. And I'm seeing here that there's some energy now that's starting to fall back out of something. And some of it has to do, if this is energy that's in some kind of forced isolation situation and you're not appreciating that sense of solitude. This is really seeing that healing to identify whether that healing of the self has really come through right now. Because we are seeing here that this is masculine, that if you had a breakthrough and you were reaffirming your commitment to feminine, that you weren't going to abandon them at the time that you've received this healing or this breakthrough from the feminine, this moment in solitude is really feeling like a point of personal journey, because you're recognizing that you haven't let go of things from the past. It's more about what boxes you're putting them in. It's more about where your priority lies right now. And so we see here that for some of the masculine energy experiencing and facing this right now, it feels like a lot of personal journeying that's happening for a lot of the masculine in solitude right now, amplifying the direction that you ultimately want to go into. For the energy that's staying in the divine union frequency, it's going to feel more like a point of frustration. That this solitude, much like we said energetically with the energy in the heart of the divine union frequency, it doesn't feel like it's feeling like that much of a weight, because it feels like your goal, your destination is the feminine, from which you are in distance with. It's almost this moment where it's like the distance doesn't mean nothing. In fact, the distance is reaffirming your own commitment towards that energy. Feminine needs that affirmation right now, is what we're seeing for energy coming into the divine union frequency, because feminine is going through modality right now. If there's a point of having a breakthrough with the masculine and then needing to separate, this is feminine that has experienced this before. This is feminine that's had these moments that they may have felt like they really kind of had a profound connection with masculine. And then they see masculine again, or they contact them, and it feels like they're talking to an entirely different person. And that's almost feminine sensing the masculine falling out of the divine union frequency because of some of their choices in solitude. This is why we see that this feminine energy in solitude right now, if away from the masculine, coming into divine union, is moving towards the heart of the divine union with energy that is amplifying that their choice is still there. And it's requiring a lot of communication, because this is also masculine that may be recognizing for the energy that's coming in that this is a feminine that has these anxieties, that has these fears, that has expressed these hurts to the masculine. So what is the healed masculine doing to the feminine? They are amplifying to the feminine, saying, I am not doing that. That is not happening again. I am not abandoning you at the time that you brought me healing. I am amplifying to you that you are my choice. You are my compass point. You are my cardinal direction. Even there is no amplification of choice, even in a moment that it would be very easy for us to fall back out into separation. There is some energy falling into separation for the reasons I just indicated. And for that, it's going to feel like a pretty fundamental separation, because this is almost feeling like feminine realizing and recognizing potentially a pattern of a masculine with an ability to dip into the divine union frequency and then depart from it again. Feeling more like they're utilizing it as a healing center, as opposed to truly cultivating a space that you can grow and thrive. Masculine and feminine in separation right now, what we are effectively seeing at this time is, again, there's a moment here that for feminine, this point of solitude, it feels very difficult. Why does it feel difficult? Because for some of the feminine energy right now, the choice that you're feeling like you need to make in solitude is between what you see, what you recognize, something that is tangibly there, versus a manifestation, which is not there. It is something that you are manifesting. So the problem with the feminine energy right now that feels so difficult is that hurdle is accepting what you are experiencing that may not necessarily be your ideal, versus something that you cannot see, that you cannot hold in your hands. It's literally not there yet because you haven't found that energetic connection. So in this moment, this is why we see, to a certain extent, feminine feels like they're weighing two very difficult circumstances. It's weighing the energy of a masculine that's not coming towards feminine in the right way, that they're feeling that karmic blockage point on, versus an intangible energy that they would aspire to build with, but they have not yet met. So this is why we see for feminine, it feels like such a difficult choice, because the ideal and the aspiration would be that the old energy would come in the way that they would aspire for the new energy to come in. You can't turn a square into a circle. That's the problem that's happening here. Feminine's caught between the energetic connection that isn't moving towards fruition versus the energy they cannot see that may possibly provide that. Masculine energy if in divine, coming in separation. This is also something that you're experiencing because this is coming through masculine from a point of fear. If masculine just had a breakthrough point with feminine, took that risk, was vulnerable for the first time, and instead of receiving that safe haven from the feminine, they were rejected. This is now a masculine that's feeling the full weight that in order to hold on to that lesson, in order to proceed forward and not step backwards, they're going to have to do it again. They're going to have to do it again with unknown energy. They're going to have to lead from the point of vulnerability that just caused the disruption point in the first place. So you can see here how this is such a difficult healing path for masculine, because it's almost like, again, taking that vulnerability point and recognizing that the only way forward to build into a new connection is to maintain that vulnerability point in an even bigger way, because this is new energy that you're potentially approaching in this fashion. So you can see here how much healing is required for the masculine that is coming through here, because this is requiring the masculine to be like completely shed their armor as they proceed forward in some new connection point. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Hermit card and our Two of Pentacles. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with, you can see the vulnerable position that this puts masculine energy in separation in, if on the healing path right now. So again, feminine energy, I want you to have a little bit of grace for masculine energy in this position, because we're seeing here for the masculine energy that may have fallen into separation by taking that leap of faith, by coming towards the feminine as co-creator, by being open, by being transparent. And instead of that creating a homecoming, it built a wall up in some connection here. It was like screeching halt energy of a feminine that said that they desired that but wasn't necessarily ready for it. This is why this feels now like a journey of confidence for the masculine, but it's confidence in vulnerability. It's confidence in being vulnerable. It's that steel to silk mentality that masculine is recognizing that they need to adopt going forward. That feels to a certain extent, in order for me to maintain this healing journey, in order for me to find the energy that's going to be in alignment with me, I need to stay with my armor down. I need to stay in this vulnerable place. I need to lead in that point of vulnerability. So this is almost becoming a deep, deep lesson in vulnerability for the masculine that's pursuing forward in this way, recognizing that they don't want to walk back into the situation that created the place that they needed to drop their armor and then experience a rejection in the first place. Feminine energy, this is more of that weight and separation of, again, releasing what is tangibly held for the thing that you may aspire for that you cannot see. And this is why we see here that for feminine, this feels almost like a point of trying to be patient, trying to be profoundly patient, because what feminine is aspiring for, this is not a feminine that wants to move away from an energetic connection. This is the hope that the masculine that they're waiting on, that is only coming towards them from a passion center, will rise into being able to be vulnerable and open in this way, so that feminine does not need to make the choice of walking away from something. Masculine and feminine that are coming into the divine union frequency, this is why we see right now that whatever this isolation moment is that is occurring, that feels almost like the worst possible time, is actually the best possible time. Because if you can't maintain and hold constancy in a point of solitude, having come into divine union, then you aren't necessarily ready for divine union. You can dip into it. You might be able to hit the note, but you're losing or lacking the consistency of holding the frequency. There's energy today that will fall out of this. Masculine, being in solitude, not necessarily feeling that that is reaffirming your choice towards feminine. It's almost creating a space where you start weighing your options. You start asking yourself, is this what I really want? Maybe I need to reach out to this person now that I've had this breakthrough. Any energy of masculine that's starting to think in that way, well, congratulations. You're already in separation. You just put yourself back in separation. So what we're effectively seeing, and again, for feminine energy, if this is a moment that suddenly you had this huge breakthrough with masculine, and now there's some distance there, there's some separation. Feminine can feel when this happens, masculine. You don't need to tell them. I don't know if you've been here, I need to stress, I don't know if you picked up. Feminine can tell when this is happening. It doesn't take much. You don't have to tell the feminine. The feminine can just pick it up like an antenna. Which is why we see that for the feminine energy in this modality right now, there's that anxiety point. If this is feminine that is reaching out to masculine and there's distance, if this is feminine that's like noticing strange, qualities here, this is feminine going, he's afraid. He's pulling back. They're pulling back. This is a masculine that's not ready for this. These are energies potentially falling back into separation. Whereas if this is a feminine energy right now that is expressed to masculine, that doubt, that fear, again, and this is masculine that is potentially in separation with feminine, how is the energy in the divine union holding forth right now? This is literally masculine saying to feminine, I know that you're worried I'm going to disappear. I know that you're worried I'm going to fall out of this. I'm not going to do that to you. This is masculine reaffirming because they recognize that this is a feminine energy that needs that reassurance. And they recognize that that reassurance does not come from a feminine energy that is needy. This is coming from a feminine energy that has been experienced that on multiple occasions in multiple ways. And what is the masculine doing? Again, there's no neediness in the divine union. In the divine union, you start with, what do you need? That is the energetic frequency. It's not, you're too needy. It says, what do you need that I can provide you? And the masculine here is saying, I am articulating to you that even in this distance, you are my priority. You are my priority. Even in this distance, you are my priority. Energetically, the energy in the divine union frequency, This assumption of priority is sacrosanct. You've built the trust. You don't need to stress on it so much because the trust that you've built has moved you so deeply into the frequency that when you're in a point of solitude, it comes naturally. You don't even think about it. It's just how you move. The problem right now for feminine is reassuring a masculine who's feeling some point of frustration and powerlessness in being able to help the feminine due to the fact that they're in something that feels like for masculine, not an ideal solitude situation. While for feminine, this is feminine saying, it's okay, I don't mind, I'm getting a lot of stuff done right now. So it's like the easement point comes because the trust is there. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Two of Pentacles in combination with our Ace of Swords. Reconsiderations. So, the energy in separation right now, this is why we see that some of this pause point is almost happening. It is giving someone energetically a chance to make a different choice. This separation point we're seeing, that hanging, that feeling of potential limbo that you may be experiencing right now. For feminine, it doesn't feel so much like the feminine is making a choice so much as feminine feels like they're waiting for a masculine to make the right choice. Because this is almost a feminine that's already moving down this path. They're moving away from the feminine, and this is almost feminine saying, please give me something to reconsider here. Give me a choice that allows me to stay. Because this is a feminine that's almost amplifying the desire and need not to walk away from something, but feeling the impossibility in staying somewhere that isn't providing, moving towards the manifestation goal of co-creating with masculine at this time. So this is almost feminine that feels like they need to relinquish that and they don't desire to. So they're almost trying to say to the masculine, give me any reason to show me that you can move into this point of healing. Give me any sign that there's something here that allows me to reconsider the choice that they are making going forward here. They're like, give me one reason that I can see that something about this journey is changing in a way that would allow there to be a victory so I don't need to take this step. Masculine, if in separation, you're potentially doing the same thing right now. You're potentially having to move forward right now, feeling vulnerable, not wanting to open up to new energy in this way, preferring to stay with the energy that you opened up to, almost saying to them, like energetically or tangibly right now, show me that you have some ability of understanding what I'm saying. Show me that you understand that, like, You can't ask me for the truth and then get angry when I provide it. Show me that there's something here that you recognize that you can change. But for masculine right now, this is feeling more like a point of doubt because there's something about this of seeing this, it feels a little bit more heavy. Now, masculine and feminine that are coming into the divine union frequency, right? And for some of the energy right now that's in separation, this weighing, this determining what to do, masculine, if in separation, realizing that you're about to lose a feminine potentially if you don't take this step. Even now we see that there's some masculine energy in separation reconsidering their own path, asking if they're ready to take that step, realizing that that step is one that feels like almost coming into a point of like maturity, because again, it is relinquishing one's own sense of autonomy in order to co-create and build with feminine. For feminine energy, this moment that we're seeing is reassessing what you've unpacked with masculine thus far to reaffirm your own commitment as it relates to going forward. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now, the anxiety of feminine, of a masculine, reconsidering their choice of coming into divine union at a time that it's been reached, is being amplified right now by situations that feel like they're pulling you apart. What is the energy doing right now that is amplifying the ability to stay in the divine union frequency? They're articulating and saying, I know the situation right now isn't ideal. It doesn't change a single thing. Because difficult situations don't tear apart divine unions, they fortify them. So the energy that's maintaining the divine union frequency is taking the difficult situation and they're building an even more intense connection through it. Some energy will drop off from the divine union frequency because that ability right now, that feeling, that reconsideration point, feminine's either feeling it energetically right now, masculine potentially feeling it energetically. That uncertainty of what's happening in the gap in between is potentially dropping a lot of energy back into separation because you're not reaffirming to one another the choice. Masculine and feminine in the divine union frequency, this is just requiring, this is a momentary situation that's requiring a different approach to things right now. There's something about the separation point that's just making things move a little bit differently. But we see that for both energies right now, it's just taking a little bit of juggling. It's creating a little bit of like tangible change. But even now, it feels like there's some kind of success point here because there's some kind of breakthrough that's happening even in the process of doing something a little differently. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Ace of Swords in combination with our Death card in its reversal in combination with our Knight of Wands. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now. Energetically, and I think again, masculine and feminine, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, in the divine union frequency, you know, it's not feeling so much. This is not this. I'm going to say it this way. It doesn't feel as difficult because where you exist with one another is not even on the tangible space. It's on the energetic space. And so even now the recalibration point is one that is being best expressed by masculine energy that is feeling some passionate frustration in distance, or the fact that they can't pursue their creative or passionate like goals right now due to the fact that something is tangibly putting them in this point of separation that feels like it's making them feel disempowered. Feminine, seeing the masculine frustrated in this way is almost reaffirming the divine union connection, because this is almost feeling the energetic connection of a masculine that is articulating their frustration in not being with you. It's like the amplification of the energy, like articulating their own frustration in being in distance with you is building terra firma for feminine, being like, I feel your frustration. But in a way, this is why the feminine is able to like navigate it more. It's grounding to the feminine because that's feeling the energetic connection of the masculine, even at a point of difficulty. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union, this is going to feel more like, again, what is the energy coming into divine union? What I just told you. The energy that's looking at this separation is something that's fortifying the connection, is that point of reaffirming the connection, because it's that moment that almost shows the adaptability in the divine union, that the situations are always ones that you'll accommodate for because you are each other's cardinal directions. While the energy falling potentially into separation over this right now is potentially, and this is what's so difficult about this, is if feminine is experiencing this right now, feminine is potentially not even articulating it to masculine. Feminine's almost taking a, I knew this would happen approach. Feminine's almost falling immediately into separation if this is happening right now. Because what we're effectively seeing right now is feminine like closing the garden wall, if you will, and saying, no, it's happening again. There's an energy here that, again, isn't maintaining connection, but this is almost feminine feeling like they're getting validation of a masculine that may dip back and forth, and that's feminine saying, this is not a place or space that you can just come in and come out of. This is a feminine energy saying, I'm perfectly fine in solitude. You can't just come and go as you please. So this is separation that's almost immediately, if feminine is recognizing this right now, it's leading to immediate karmic closure. So this could be energy of feminine that feeling like they dipped into something with feminine, masculine, and now they're closing those walls again. Masculine, if this is that moment that you're in separation, and again, you're not reaffirming the connection to feminine, but instead potentially utilizing a point of frustration, of passionate frustration, to put your energy into other places, and almost assuming that because you had that intense connection with feminine, it's just going to be there when you want it. You might be in for a rude awakening right now, because we're seeing here that there's some energy falling back into separation over this pretty quickly. Like in the garden, out of the garden. Like out. Masculine and feminine in separation. This is why we see now that feminine is holding forward in terms of navigating these circumstances or situations, because feminine doesn't feel, to a certain extent, this is how feminine is navigating a place where they have a lot of energetic or spiritual connection with an energy right now, but they're also potentially working on their boundaries, because if this is feminine energy in separation and this is masculine trying to come towards feminine and articulate their desire or their emotion connection, this is feminine almost saying to masculine, I know your passion, your emotion is not the issue at play. It has to do with whether you are acting as a constant gardener. And this is feminine almost working on the manifestation, saying, I am looking for a constant gardener. I am looking for someone that realizes that the love is in the consistency that you bring forth to something, not in just those moments that we have that then you can then depart on. So this is feminine, again, amplifying to some energy and saying, can you come forward in this way? Can you prioritize the connection that we have? Can you build that sense of us creating together instead of feeling like, again, energetically utilized to a certain extent? Masculine, if in separation, this is potentially desiring that right now. If you are open and vulnerable to a feminine and it led to a point of rejection, you're holding that hope and saying, my aspiration is finding a feminine that will accept me for me at my most authentic. That does not require me to like build a false garden around the feminine, but that we can create together. And only through doing that, only from being clear and honest and open to the feminine, is that possible, because this is masculine almost affirming to themselves that they don't want to go back to the past. They don't want to go back to that place where they felt like they were building a point of illusion for feminine. They want to come from a place of authenticity, even if it's difficult, because they're aspiring on the manifestation of what they could create if they move forward in that state of being your most authentic, expressive self, even if it's difficult, even if it's vulnerable. energetically, even for the energy and separation, that the other side of this right now, that this personal work of coming into union or not coming into union for masculine, it's all being based on where one's comfort level is right now. So all the energy and separation is doing that analysis on where one feels comfortable, what it looks like. How do you get there? Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Knight of Wands, our Death card in its reversal, and our Emperor in its reversal. This is that heavy energy for masculine today. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification. Whoa. I want all the masculine energy today to drink your water, to count to 10. I want you all to count to 10. I want you to say the loud thing quietly before you say it loudly, okay? There's some reactive energy here, and it's frustration energy. Masculine frustration energy, feeling frustrated about something that feels like it is an energetic blockage point right now that's creating some kind of sense of solitude, either metaphysical solitude or tangible solitude right now for masculine energy. If you're experiencing this, masculine, I want you to sink into the feeling of vulnerability. I just want you to just sink into it. Just let yourself experience it. I want you to namaste yourself through this right now, because I'm just seeing here that there is this challenge point that's coming right now, that something is creating a point of masculine feeling very, very like disempowered is the word that is coming to the surface right now. Okay? So one of the things that we're seeing here for masculine is, again, and I think the energy in the divine union, this is going to require a lot of support to the masculine energy today, because this is masculine energy feeling this like frustration, feeling this hurdle, feeling this blockage, and it's just immediately, it's building a sense that is equal parts frustration and a lack of an ability to do the things that one chooses to do, and a lack of an ability to like execute on the things that you want to execute on right now. So helping feminine, masculine through this today, feminine is going to be like, it's going to require feminine to put a lot of affirmation towards masculine. Remind them that this too shall pass. Remind them about like, make them a bath, get them something to eat. They're going to need it today. You just got to create, like, you have to, like, this is like grumpy bear energy to like the highest degree. So just navigate that to a certain extent. Okay. Masculine and feminine coming into the divine union frequency. This is some energy falling back into separation today. Because again, feminine more than anything, this separation point is building this is the opposite that's happening here. This is feminine feeling the anxiety, experiencing a lot of re-triggered trauma if in separation with a masculine that you just came into the divine union frequency with, potentially even feeling re-triggered to past experiences wherein energetically the masculine was not able to navigate a point of solitude without departing from the divine union frequency. So what is the energy doing right now that's at the heart, that's on the outskirts of the divine union frequency? Masculine, through your own sense of anxiety, pushing through, staying vulnerable, reaffirming to the feminine, I'm not going anywhere. I'm right here. I'm not going to do that again. It's stopping. The buck stops here. I'm not doing that to you again. That isn't happening here. And it's going to feel like a lot of rinse and repeat right now for the energy coming in here, because this is feminine that needs a lot of affirmation on this, because this could even feel like a little bit of spirally energy to feminine right now, experiencing this, that's trying to maintain composure. Okay? Masculine, feminine energy right now. This is also a moment that we're seeing that you are potentially looking towards masculine to identify if this masculine is able to maintain that divine union frequency. Hold that note, if you will, even if you've just struck with it once with them, or you've just recently come into it. And it's being tested right now by some point of separation, metaphysically or tangibly right now. And we are seeing that, again, situations don't change people. They reveal people. So again, the feminine energy that's moving into the heart of the divine union frequency, this is almost a masculine energy saying, I know what you're afraid of. It's not happening here. I'm not afraid to tell you that you're my choice. Like I am staying focused here. You don't have anything to fear. Some masculine energy is potentially falling into separation right now because again, it is that feeling of recognition that when you're in separation, that feeling of potentially trying to escape one's own self, you may be recognizing leads you to move in ways that don't feel like they're in the best interest to you. So we even see right now that for some of the masculine energy, this could feel like a bit of a struggle point because you may be recognizing that some of those triggers that you're experiencing have more to do with you coming into stability with your own appreciation of solitude. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. This is feminine feeling re-triggered in separation right now with the anxiety of potentially letting go of something that isn't necessarily moving in the way that they aspire and desire to, with also all of that uncertainty on what is down the road, what is it before them. And this is feminine energy feeling that weight of frustration, potentially again, even being re-triggered around past experiences that are being amplified in this right now. Because this is feminine energy that is weighing the weight of what they're holding on to right now that's led to separation, asking themselves, can I move forward with this even if it doesn't change? Or is this something that requires change because feminine feels like there's something here that feels like a fundamental blockage? So even now, this is feminine weighing the weight of the uncertainty of the future versus releasing what they have at present with an energetic connection that they feel passion for, but they don't necessarily feel like they're acting in the space or realm of co-creators with. Masculine, if in separation right now, your own ability to navigate this right now is also difficult because this is the feeling of, again, holding the thing that you're effectively in separation with, feeling that need to kind of hide from it or not be open, versus having to move forward from a place of being completely open, completely vulnerable. So this is a lot of path work here. These energies, do you see that they're in perfect alignment right now? That these energies moving into separation are almost perfectly aligned to come into frequency with one another? And while as the energy on the other side of these connections is weighing their ability to move towards someone, realizing and recognizing what is required to do so. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our King of Swords in its reversal in combination with our Judgment in its reversal. Not ideal situations, not ideal circumstances. Now for masculine and feminine in the divine union frequency, this is going to feel more like outside situations, outside circumstances, things outside the divine union that are creating this wackiness. It's creating this disruption point. And again, it's requiring some point of recalibration right now to navigate. And it's something that masculine is feeling very frustrated about specifically. This is something that's having more of an impact right now on the masculine energy. Bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Feminine, this is trying to help the masculine as they go through some of this feeling of disempowerment right now. While also feeling this is something that, again, these energies are so energetically connected. It bothers, it's hard for the feminine to see the masculine in this modality because the feminine recognizes and feels the weight of the masculine not being in an ideal headspace because of it. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. Feminine's trying to utilize the time to the best of their advantage. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This is, again, really triggering circumstances. This is feeling like, I keep saying this is the energy that's coming through. Situations don't change people, they reveal people. So even though we're seeing right now there's some circumstances that feel less than ideal, energy that was moving into divine union, and suddenly there's something coming up that's requiring some bit of chaos to be navigated outside of the divine union, potentially even some separation energy. Guess what? The energy in divine union is going to utilize this to their advantage. It's going to fortify the connection point. Fortifying the connection point by masculine articulating to feminine, saying, I'm dealing with some things right now I'd rather not be dealing with because I'd rather be with you. Masculine, even at this moment, amplifying in a moment of navigating something that is frustrating to them. What are they articulating to feminine? Their frustration. Their desire to be with the feminine, much like the energy in the heart of the divine union, because that's the energy that's utilizing the difficult situation and it's moving them deeper into the heart of the divine union. Feminine seeing that right now, and again, the masculine voicing that frustration, much like the energy in the divine union. It is that sense of feminine feeling reaffirmed from a masculine that even in that moment of separation is maintaining a desire and need to communicate with the feminine. Energy wherein this is someone utilizing an excuse. Potentially masculine saying, if feminine's like trying to build connection points and masculine saying, I can't right now. I'm busy. No, I'm sorry. Look, I've got a lot going on right now. Why are you causing chaos here? If this is feminine saying, I have a need, I feel like, I just want to make sure you hear a masculine saying, sorry, I was busy. Sorry, I was doing this. Sorry, I was doing that. This is feminine already feeling it. This is immediately falling back into separation because this is, again, feminine feeling a point of a masculine that is saying to them, even in separation right now, even if they just came into divine union, you're not the priority. This is the priority. And articulating to feminine going, of course you're the priority, but you're not the priority. You're not the priority. Because their words are now starting not to match their actions in separation. And feminine seeing that, immediately falling back into separation. Masculine, if you're in this moment right now, this could be a moment that, again, you're recognizing like you're feeling disconnected from the feminine right now. You're getting very involved in all of the chaos around you. You're being pulled out of divine union by circumstances around you. Potentially feeling like there are things that are demanding your attention, which seems really uncomfortable and awkward given the fact that you were just about to come into divine union. But potentially even saying to yourself, that's life. But also potentially experiencing and saying, wait, I feel like this has happened before. Masculine and feminine, and that ability to recognize a pattern within the self is also a breakthrough. Masculine and feminine in separation, this is why the feminine energy is effectively not sticking around if they're seeing a masculine right now that's not showing the confidence in coming forward towards feminine. Because this is feminine energy saying, I recognize that some of this could be fear. But I also recognize that this energy could be moving in fear forever. This is feminine feeling the connection point of a masculine and saying, I understand exactly where that trauma comes from. I understand exactly what's brought it about. I understand exactly the full breadth of someone's situation or circumstance. But again, it's not about the situations and circumstances that require someone to move in a certain way. It's about the choices that they make in those moments. The choices that one makes through difficulties. So if this is masculine energy that keeps looking at circumstances and blaming circumstances on the way that they're moving, this is feminine almost looking to the masculine and saying, that isn't true. Circumstances don't change people. They reveal people. Your choices, if you're saying to me that you can't choose me because the circumstances around you are never accommodating, allowing that to be, you are saying to me, at every moment when the circumstances become difficult, I will choose those circumstances over the priority I have towards you. So even now, this is feminine energy that's working on this release process, but they're accepting the fact that if they go back to someone, they have to just accept the fact that it will always be like that. That chaotic energy will always be there. They can't necessarily assume that the change is going to come, because coming back to it's just sealing the fact that there's a point about them always choosing to go back to the difficult situation. Masculine, if in separation right now, this ability that you may be in separation right now from having to be open in this way. This is that feeling of someone feeling like you created chaos, but almost realizing and recognizing and saying that chaos you're talking about is me. Just me being my authentic self. So we see here that if this was a masculine that was open towards feminine and it created that point of volatility, this is masculine hoping that the feminine will come into a point of accepting the masculine, because if not, masculine also feels like they're in this impossibility point where they kind of need to move forward right now from that point of vulnerability, and they're unsure about what they're going to face because it feels like they know and recognize that they have to move forward in this way, but they never have done so in this way before. So even now, a lot of heavy energy here. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Judgment in its reversal and combination with our Nine of Pentacles. Clarification with our Hierophant in its reversal. Masculine and feminine energy in the divine union frequency. This is just requiring a period of time that's causing some unconventional approaches right now. It's requiring a moment of taking some unconventional approaches. With that assessment, that ability though, and this is the beauty of the energy in the divine union frequency, is like, it's okay if there's a curveball as long as you know that someone's there to catch it. You know? It's like, it's just kind of reaccommodating yourself to some curveballs right now and trying to amplify to each other that like ability to, like, the beauty of what you're creating within yourselves is the fact that, again, the external situations aren't impacting so much. They're just requiring a point of recalibration. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union, this is that moment. It doesn't feel so much like an unconventional approach because that trust hasn't been formed yet. You're not in the heart of the divine union. You can't assume, and that's what's problematic here. Some of the masculine energy potentially on this feels that sense of assumption, saying, oh, I've hit it with someone. I've won it and done it. I've reached that level with that feminine. I don't have to worry about that anymore. If there's masculine energy feeling like that, that's, you're falling back, you're already back in separation. Because that modality, that assurance, if you've just come into divine union, that assumption that the divine union is just something that's going to be available to you whenever you need it, is not the correct assumption. Because what we're really seeing here is, again, that could be an energetic indicator of someone who is feeling like they can dip in and out of the divine union frequency without truly recognizing that you have to invest yourself fully on that journey. It's not something that you can pop in and out of. That's a false note. And what we're seeing here for the feminine is recognizing and seeing that if there's energy here that feels like they touched it and now they're kind of like assuming they're putting less energy in, this is feminine saying, oh, you're not healed. You're not healed. You're still in that same modality where you feel like you can come to the spring and leave the spring, come to the spring and leave the spring. That's not how this works. So we see here that separation is almost immediately occurring in these circumstances because feminine is recognizing it. The energy that is moving truly into the heart of the divine union is energy that is recognizing the ability to be a constant gardener. Masculine energy moving as a constant gardener, recognizing that, again, difficult situations do not take the gardener away from the garden. The gardener never abandons the garden. They protect it. So we see here that even in this moment that masculine is feeling that their situations or circumstances calling their attention away from the divine union frequency. What is masculine energy doing right now? Showing feminine in every way, shape, or form. I want to be back with you. I want to get back there. I want to get back to you. I'm still here with you. I haven't gone anywhere. I'm still there with you. We're still together. Energetically, we are still connected. Because it doesn't matter for the energy in the divine union what's happening externally. What you're creating internally, you're building that connection regardless of the external situations and circumstances. Masculine and feminine in separation. This is why we see energetically right now, it feels like a lot of difficulty. There's a lot of endings right now potentially occurring around some situations and circumstances. And there's a moment or opportunity that someone is hoping that someone will meet them on their frequency. Someone is almost offering it here. It's almost showing someone, saying, you can come join me here if you're willing to make these changes. Are we on the same path, or are you trying to pull me off of my path? So energetically, for all of the energy right now in separation, that ability to show someone and say, are you joining me here or not, is becoming evident. But the problem is, energetically, some people are saying that to each other across islands, while others are proceeding forward on their journey to find someone to join them in that way. So this is like almost like a fork in the road, if you will, where energies are now realizing and recognizing that to move forward with someone is pulling them off of their own path. Some energy will continue to pull forward off that path. Some energy is holding forward right now and saying, this is where I aspire to be. I'm not closing the door on you, but you have to join me here. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, between our Nine of Pentacles in combination with our Knight of Swords. Clarification. Gosh, this is going to, masculine energy today. I'm just going to say it again. I want you to drink your water. I want you to be calm. I want you to take your time today, because there's just a lot of energy here of masculine just. And again, what we're seeing right now for the energy in the divine union frequency, this is missing the energy in the divine union frequency. Something is preventing masculine from being as close in the proximity as they would aspire to right now for energy in the divine union frequency. Because even now, the energy coming into the divine union frequency that's going through this, congratulations, you're in the divine union frequency. If the separation events occurred here and you're still trying to move towards it, like you've been moved and propelled into the divine union frequency. So what we're seeing here is like, what is the energy that's not like that's in separation right now, masculine energy? They're just trying to get back. They're just trying to get back to where they want to be. They're just trying to get back to where they want to be. It's like, it's amplifying their own frustration right now is what we're seeing, because this is that moment that feels like a frustration point. Feminine is almost helping masculine right now in the divine union frequency by reassuring them that they're there, that they're fine, that they're okay, that they're navigating that it's just, they just have to be patient, because we see here that masculine's patience is like really getting tested today. Masculine and feminine coming into the divine union frequency. This is why we see right now that if feminine is not energetically getting that support from a masculine that feels like they're being called away into separation, if this isn't immediately building that connection point of masculine trying to communicate to feminine, this is feminine almost immediately falling back into separation, but also being healed in the process. This is feminine energy that's moving in a way of saying there's this like zero desire here to chase after masculine, to keep them in the divine union frequency. This is feminine just observing and saying, oh, there's someone who just tries to come in and out. There's someone who's just trying to dip in and out. And that's why we see energetically right now for feminine, this could lead to a lot of energy, again, breaking back into separation today, because feminine energy is like immediately almost just like, it's not the fact that feminine almost immediately healing in the process, because this feminine going, absolutely not. You don't get to be fickle here. You have to show the priority that this is feminine saying, I'm protecting like that energetic frequency. You can't just pop in and out of it. Masculine, again, if you're coming into the divine, if you just had these breakthroughs and now there's been some separation event that's calling you away from the feminine that you had these breakthroughs with, if you're not maintaining communication, if you're not maintaining conviction right now, if you're amplifying the fact, especially of a feminine that's trying to get that kind of affirmation, and you're kind of like reacting in like a frustrating way towards the feminine, you're back in separation. But you may also be recognizing that, again, weighing the actual importance and value of prioritization, what you need to bring forth to be able to maintain the consistency of the divine union frequency, it requires changes. It requires a recalibration of priority. And we see here that for some of the energy falling back into separation, it is again feeling a bit energetically right now like a bridge too far for some of this energy. That ability right now, it may feel like a point of masculine experiencing some point of personal weakness. Masculine right now in separation, that anxiety point is potentially here. Because again, what we are seeing for some of the masculine in separation, the masculine in separation that was vulnerable and open to feminine that led to a point of rejection, this recognition point, what's feeling so difficult is the feeling like you don't necessarily know where this garden is. You're trying to like build this, you're trying to create this, you're trying to find this with another feminine energy. But again, it's feeling like at this moment that someone rejected you from being your most authentic self. So even now, masculine, we see that this feels like almost like a moment of personal healing and recognizing and trying to build that supportive center within you in terms of identifying and saying to oneself that again, the best way to be able to feel that point of confidence going forward is to become confident in one's own self, to become secure in one's own truth. That the more that you're able to live your own truth is the more that you're able to express it to others without fear. So we see that for a lot of the masculine in separation right now, this moment or this opportunity to come into authenticity, it feels challenging. It feels vulnerable, but it's almost this understanding of creating a sense of personal balance. Feminine, feeling this point of satisfaction in separation right now is again amplifying feminine, feeling the weight and heaviness of what you can create for yourself at this moment, the frequency that you're able to navigate versus that moment or opportunity as it relates to the energy that's trying to come towards the feminine at this time. This is why feminine is not looking just to be in a modality of building something supportive for masculine. The need and the desire for feminine to feel like they are growing something with the masculine, to have a masculine that works in that sense of being a constant gardener and being able to co-create with the feminine. This is being amplified right now for the feminine energy in separation. And it's almost coming to a point of effectively looking at energy that feels like they're just trying to like facilitate the connection with feminine as like an energetic or spiritual or even like stabilizing resource is coming through very heavily and reaffirming feminine's own decisions at this time. Continuing to get clarification between our Ten of Pentacles in combination with our Hierophant in its reversal. Clarification. Balance, because we see here for the feminine energy in separation, this is that moment that feels like, again, feminine feels to a certain extent that they're rejecting a partnership. They're rejecting some kind of opportunity coming towards them right now from masculine because feminine is asking themselves whether it is balanced, whether there is balance there, how to bring balance. And this is why feminine feels to a certain extent that to separate from masculine in this way feels like it is an act of healing, because it's almost saying to masculine, it's not due to a desire of not wanting commitment. It's wanting to maintain the fact that that commitment needs to feel like it's bringing balance and equality to the feminine's experience of masculine, to allow them to co-create, because if not, it's a feeling of masculine getting to enjoy a garden and feminine having to constantly navigate all the chaos that comes from creating that space for the masculine. Masculine, if you are on your healing journey, this is the reverse situation. This is potentially a moment or opportunity wherein you feel that a feminine only wants you to create a garden for them. They only want the pretty things. They only want the illusion. But when you tried to come forward and show them the truth, that was a moment that felt like the separation came, because like it was almost like trying to remove the blinders from someone's eyes. So we see here that for some of the masculine energy that's going through the healing journey, that ability of recognizing and feeling the need or desire to have balance is also present. So you see here how energetically these energies are making these choices that are leading them towards one another. There is this moment energetically that we're seeing for some in separation now, which is observing the difference between what you say you want versus how you're moving. And even now, the ability to recognize the difference between what you say you want versus what is needs to be changed for you to truly embody that is bringing in a sense of balance. So it is creating a sense of balance in solitude. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This ability of making choices right now that are testing the ability to stay in the divine union frequency. It's only a test if you let it be. If your priority is on creating that point of recognizing that the divine union is that priority, then it helps regulate through that, because that's that moment that, again, it reaffirms your own choice and your own commitment. So we see here that for the energy coming into divine union right now, that feeling of like leaving the world behind, if you will, is very present, because it's almost that moment of feeling a point of frustration and having to deal with anything that is moving you away from where you want to be. Masculine and feminine in the heart of the divine union frequency. This is, again, navigating those situations and circumstances together in this way. The balance that you find within yourselves, within each other, is growing, is strong here. And even at this time, we are seeing and recognizing that the frustrations are something that feels like it is easier to navigate because you are able to provide that point of balance for one another, even at a point of separation. It's feeling like the balance is amplifying your connection. It doesn't sever it. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Hierophant in combination with our King of Wands in its reversal. One card, please. Empress in its reversal. So again, the passionate connection here is rampant, is like very huge. So I feel like the biggest problem or the biggest hurdle that we're seeing right now as it relates to some of like the tangible blockages that are happening right now for the energy in divine union is feeling that point of passionate frustration. Feminine's getting a lot of things done in that solitude point, but they're feeling the passionate frustration. Masculine is just feeling the frustration across the tangible and the practical sphere right now, which is why it's a little bit more frustrating. But again, the energy that is coming into the divine union frequency or in the heart of the divine union frequency, it feels like the blockage is externalized. It's like all you're effectively, it's like your mind and your focus is on the energy of the union. That's where your center is. And so again, everything else just feels like something that needs to be navigated and requires unconventional approaches at this time as you navigate those points of frustration. Masculine and feminine that are coming into the divine union frequency, or I even say these are potentially now some energies that are falling into separation, because the energies that are experiencing these hurdles and it's fortifying the connection, you're pretty much seeing in real time the fact that the consistency through difficulties is just reinforcing what you're creating and how different it is. And masculine is reaffirming to feminine that this is not something that they desire. It's something that you guys are experiencing together. It's like the mutual frustration is there. And even feminine feeling that mutual frustration on the part of the masculine is fortifying feminine's own anxieties and fears as you go through it. Masculine and feminine on the outskirts of the divine union frequency. If you just touch this and these circumstances are now again creating communication difficulties, creating communication spottiness, if feminine is articulating a need to masculine or feeling like some point of separation and masculine is reacting in a way that doesn't feel like it's supportive, not meeting the need where it's at, but instead getting reactive, putting some of that aggressive energy towards the feminine instead of outwards, then this is energy that's effectively falling into separation, because again, feminine's feeling the weight of a masculine that may have had the ability to touch the divine union frequency, but loses the ability to maintain it when you're not in immediate, present, constant physical connection. And this is a feminine energy that's feeling the weight of a masculine, potentially even now falling back out of separation from the minute. It's almost like giving the energy of feminine being like, if I'm not right in front of you, what happens? Like, what happens? Because this is feminine saying, like, what exists in the space between is the partnership. The ability to build the connective tissue that keeps that connection point, regardless of when you're in proximity to each other, is necessary and vital. So we see here that there may be a lot of issues coming through potentially around communication hurdles. Feminine potentially trying to articulate to masculine that they feel underseen or non-prioritized. And if this is masculine that's reacting negatively about that, or telling the feminine, I don't know what you're talking about, then again, these are energies that are falling into separation, because this is feminine energy seeing a masculine that wants to effectively have all the benefits of divine union without creating the supportive system of feminine, having that consistency, having that affirmation that is required for the feminine to feel like they can be in that point of being their best seen, appreciated self. Masculine, if this was a moment that you came into separation due to a feminine rejecting you for your truth, we see even now that feels like an unfathomable territory. It feels like a limitation point, because again, this is almost feeling like you'd have to build a false front for yourself, a false version of self to be able to move towards this feminine. And that almost feels like an impossibility point. Both of these energies, though, as you can see, if these are opportunities or situations where feminine is feeling, again, having to separate from something that feels like they're being underseen, underappreciated, utilized as a resource instead of a co-creator, masculine feeling like there's a situation or circumstance that requires them to constantly build a false reality around someone instead of being in a place of truth. You see how these energies are almost like calling to each other in separation. Final call for today's spread between our Justice card and our Empress in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with Five of Swords. Feminine energy in separation. This is that weight right now that we're seeing, because this is feminine energy having to navigate situations from the past that feel like they're unfinished. This is waiting for energy to kind of meet them at this way. But again, the longer that takes, the more the feminine feels this affirmation that this is energy that's just trying to call them back to what feels like it's imbalanced at a moment that feminine is just asking for balance. Masculine, potentially again, feeling that there is this opportunity to go back to something. But again, the ability to have to create an illusion around a feminine in order to keep them feels again like it feels like an impossibility point, because it doesn't necessarily feel like it's balanced, which is why we see again, this is masculine hoping that this is a feminine energy that will come through and understand the ability to like match words with actions, the ability to respect and appreciate the truth that's coming towards something. Masculine and feminine that are working through this on their own. This is a moment of weighing again for feminine, what you're effectively experiencing and what you need to relinquish in order to go back to something versus moving forward. All energies at play. This is feeling like a point of deep balance. But again, a lot of that feeling of uncertainty is a lot of this breakthrough is coming with a lot of unfinished business from the past rising to the surface, either in tangible or metaphysical ways. Masculine and feminine that are coming into the divine union frequency. This is that modality that we're effectively seeing, that the energy that is coming into the divine union frequency, it's not that everything is perfect right now. Masculine is potentially, again, if moving into the divine union frequency, masculine's looking at the situations around them right now as points of frustration. Masculine is looking at these right now and saying, I would rather not be here. I would rather not be doing these things. I want to be back with the feminine. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. And masculine is, what is masculine doing in divine union or coming into divine union? Amplifying to feminine that they would rather be with the feminine. And feminine feeling and experiencing that energetic support of a masculine, feeling the frustration of feeling, I'm mad. This is masculine almost in divine union saying, I'm mad that I cannot be there for you. I'm mad that I cannot be there with you. This is literally what we're seeing energetically. What is the energy falling out of divine union doing? Why are you getting so upset that I have things to do? I've got to do these things. Don't bother me. I'm sorry that you're feeling like that. But again, the energy of the masculine coming towards this moment, and potentially again, if feminine's seeing this right now, then this is feminine that almost feels like they're seeing evidence of a masculine that's not ready to stay in divine union because they're not building in a space or place where they realize they're not coming from a place of recognizing that the energy needs to be able to give forth and not just take. So energetically, even now we see that there's some energy falling back out of divine union because feminine is feeling like the masculine isn't necessarily consistent in that way. They're looking at feminine more as a resource, but not being there to provide the emotional support that the feminine needs in the intervening space in between. Masculine, if you are in that modality too, there could be this moment that, again, you're feeling very disconnected from feminine, but you may also be recognizing that that point of disconnection is something that you have some intentional choice on. And that in a way, your ability not to move away from something from the past may be why you're starting to drift away from this feminine, because it's like at the point of separation, your mind isn't focused on the feminine in at present. It's allowing yourself to get overly invested in situations and circumstances that are calling your attention to you away from divine union. And you may be recognizing that this is something that feels kind of cyclical. Masculine and feminine in the heart of the divine union frequency, this is that energetic equivalent. Anything that you're experiencing right now, it's like the point of frustration. Masculine almost feels doubly frustrated because not only are they navigating things that they'd rather not be navigating, they're putting them in a point of solitude with the feminine. They'd rather be with the feminine. Feminine is feeling that energy of missing the masculine, but again, recognizing that this is something that just needs to be born to a certain extent. And what we're seeing here are the energies effectively just doing everything they can to support each other during a difficult situation. And that ability to put one's own thoughts first on the energy outside of the self instead of one's own needs is amplifying energetically. That these are energies that are able to take difficult situations and always bring balance to them. It's all about the intentionality that occurs in spaces of solitude that reinforces the choice to remain in the divine union frequency. Bottom of the deck, Three of Pentacles in its reversal. I told you, masculine and feminine moving forward in this way, even in the divine union frequency. There's something about this week that's requiring some new ground to be laid, some changes that are occurring. It feels chaotic, and I feel like even now, like when we do something new, it always requires that point of like deconstruction, if you will. Feminine's doing a lot of this internally right now. Masculine, you're doing a lot of it tangibly. Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union. This is a moment that is amplifying the difference of finding yourself where you are versus what you're intending to go towards. So even this point of situations outside of divine union springing forth, they're amplifying where your care, effort, energy, and priorities are. Masculine and feminine in separation right now, this is the anxiety of moving towards something that you cannot see. This is when you have something in your head. You're focusing on that manifestation. You know what shape it is. You're looking to try to find a place that it can grow. And the anxiety point is whether there's something from the past where someone's showing an ability to change and become adaptable enough to grow with them in that capacity, or if this is requiring a movement forward. That is our daily collective read for today. I'd like to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it with me. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. Please keep in mind when you book a private reading, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading and you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you would like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. I'd like to thank you guys so much for being here with me today and sharing with me in these messages. And we will do this again tomorrow.